so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Hi there, it's Teresa, and welcome back to Earrings Off. Today's episode is you don't want to miss. Lou and I are diving into a feeling that no one really wants to admit, but almost everyone has experienced. Jealousy. That sneaky side-eye kind of energy that can show up in compliments that sting, in silence when you succeed, or in subtle shade when you're shining. Jealousy doesn't always come in loud or obvious ways. Sometimes it's wrapped up in passive-aggressive digs, lost invites, or that strange vibe you get from someone who should be rooting for you. We're unpacking all of it. How to spot jealousy, how to protect your peace from it, and how to check yourself if it's bubbling up in you. So, if you ever found yourself wondering, was that shade or am I tripping? This one's for you. And remember, just like that old proverb, jealousy in romance is like salt in food. A little can enhance the flavor, but too much can spoil the dish. Let's talk about how not to spoil you. Enjoy.
Well, hello. Welcome back to Earrings Off, where we talk confidence, courage, and how to walk boldly in your purpose. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. And today, we're diving into a topic that's got layers like a red velvet cake, but sometimes not nearly as sweet. We're talking about jealousy, how to spot it, how to deal with it, and how not to let it steal your sparkle to keep you from fulfilling your purpose.
Now, we've all encountered that one person who says, "Wow, I love how confident you are. I could never pull that off." And you're thinking to yourself, well, thanks, but what?
I know, right? That sounds like a backhanded compliment.
I know. So we're going to talk today about some general signs of jealousy. Now, let's break it down. Here are some classic signs someone might be battling that green-eyed monster. And spoiler alert, it's not always obvious and so easy to tell that someone is jealous or may be coming from that place of jealousy when they interact with you.
Yeah, so we should start with the backhanded compliments.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can see me, I'm doing the air quotes.
All right.
When praise comes with a jab, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, you started your own business? That's brave. I'd be too scared to quit my real job.
Oh, wow.
That's a very passive burn.
Oh, Teresa, just saying, when you say that hurts me to even hear it. Wow. And then, of course, there's minimizing your success. I have experienced this before. You land that promotion and suddenly it's all, well, you're just lucky your boss likes you. Boy, I tell you, you're pretty lucky. And you're thinking to yourself, girl, Luck had nothing to do with it. I spent a lot of late nights and extra hours. I'm working hard. I've tried to prepare. I've tried to check off everything I needed to do for this promotion. And you attribute my success to luck and luck only. Oh, that stings.
What about imitation? This
Hmm.
is a tricky one.
It really is tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because when is it flattery versus jealousy, right?
Right, right.
I think we can tell by when someone copies your whole vibe, your ideas,
Mm, mm, mm.
you, and they never give you credit.
Yeah,
That's not admiration.
yeah.
That's low-key identity theft.
And Teresa, I'm telling you, I actually witnessed this. It wasn't me, but
Mhm,
years ago on a job, there were two ladies who were they were not only colleagues, they were friends outside the office, but the relationship started in the workplace.
mhm.
And one of them, I don't care what the other one did, she would change her appearance or her mannerisms. They would change into what her friend did. And you know what was amazing to me? Her friend seemed to never notice that. But it was very obvious to the rest of us if she changed her hairstyle, if she changed something at work, even her desk, her friend would change things based on what she did. And I just watched that. It was something to see. And she actually loved this person, but there was a hint of, jealousy that I could see from her.
So
Yeah.
outside looking in, you
Right,
saw it.
right, right.
And the young lady who was being copied
Yeah.
likely felt it, but because she loved this person, probably didn't say
Right,
anything.
right, right. Because it can be
It's
awkward, you
tricky.
know?
It's
Yeah,
tricky.
yeah. Or, Teresa, sometimes folks play the exclusion games. You find out that your friends, and that's I'm doing the air quotes now, had a
Hmm.
girls' night out, and somehow they lost, your invitation got lost in the group chat, never
Well,
arrived. And this has happened more than once.
okay, let me tell you something. I know this all too well because I can't tell you how many of your parties you didn't invite me to.
Oh,
But
stop
I
the
but
stop,
I just developed a
stop
thick
the
skin.
stop the madness. Stop the madness. Teresa, let's be honest. If you weren't invited, then it was apparently the D group of folks. I
You
have
better be
different
quiet.
levels.
You better be quiet.
I-
Oh, that's so funny. And don't forget those passive aggressive digs, Lou.
yeah, yeah,
Gossiping.
yeah,
Or when someone acts totally neutral, like no excitement when you have good news to share, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like, oh, you're moving to New York? Mm, cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nothing, just flat, right?
Yeah,
No
yeah,
excitement.
that happened. And you know what? I think I've experienced that a bit lately with this move because some people I think were happy and others were like, oh yeah, I should probably downsize too.
What?
Yeah, I
You've
heard that.
experienced that?
I heard that from a few people like, oh yeah, that might be something for me to think about, maybe downsizing.
Oh
And if
my
I thought
goodness.
to myself, it's not a negative thing. It's what we're
No.
choosing to do. But yeah, I heard that a
Wow.
few times.
I
Yeah,
would not have even
yeah. And
imagined.
people will withhold their support. They know you're doing things, and like when you really needed someone in your corner, they're all of a sudden ghosting you like it's Halloween. You can't hear anything from them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, that is something to pay attention to.
Yeah, yeah,
I sort of feel that way when I'm talking to a family member about a segment or a blog that we've posted, and they're like, um, oh, I didn't see that one. And
yeah.
then I'm like, well, what about did you see this one or that one? I'm
Yeah,
just going
yeah,
through the list because
yeah.
these are people who say, "Oh, we listen and read all the time." But
Well,
then,
well, yeah, yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I feel the same way, Teresa, when someone tells me, well, I listen to podcasts all the time and share with me what they've heard on other podcasts, but I'm like, but we're buddies and you didn't care to like ours or go on there just to sort of support us because that
I know.
drives this vehicle. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how
Hmm.
do we know if we're seeing jealousy, Lou, or just someone having a rough day? How do we know?
Well, you know what? And that's true because people can be off. People
Yeah.
have lives. We're human. But it's really, to me, Teresa, it's about patterns, what you see in this person, not isolated moments, because all of us could use some constructive feedback. Constructive feedback can lift you, but it can make you strive for better. It can allow you to see things maybe that you haven't seen, but it doesn't tear you down.
Mm-hmm.
Jealousy can feel draining, heavy. If you're confused because you don't know where this is coming from, but we can trust our gut in
Yeah.
this because if it's happened and this person is exhibiting some behavior that seems to be repeated, there is something there, Yeah,
Yeah, that's I mean facts.
yeah, yeah.
And we've all probably been on both sides. So have you had that anyone show you those signs?
Yeah, yeah, if you go back through our podcast episodes, I've shared about this episode, which really at the time it happened years ago, was pretty devastating to me when I got ready to go to grad school. That was a hard decision for me. It really was. We had Nasheed and I had a young child. Now she was working, but he was contracting, so his work wasn't like in a stable type of job, and I was doing pretty well. I had advanced some in my career where I had a team of folks under me, worked hard to get to that promotion, and then decided I was going back to school again. And so I was going to be losing my salary, my benefits, and things. And it was just a very hard decision for me to say, I'm pulling out of full-time work. I'm not going to have any more income. I'm going to be totally reliant on that sheet, and I hope we're going to be okay as a family. Because I felt, was I being selfish? Was I putting my family in jeopardy by making this decision because I didn't have to go? I was doing okay in my career. And so it was a very hard decision. And one of my friends, who was like one of my two best friends, I will never forget it. When I was talking to her, I was making breakfast one Saturday morning, and she called, and we were talking about, me leaving my job and going back to school full time and not being able to work at all in school because it was prohibited. The program I was going in prohibited you from working any type of part-time job. And she said to me, I can't believe you're going to do that. You're going to end up divorced. You're going to lose your whole family because, you're just being, she didn't say selfish, but she was like, what are you trying to do? I mean,
Right.
and that you've done this, you've worked hard, you're in a good place. Why
Right.
would you put this on him? You're gonna put too much stress on your marriage. And I sat down, when she started talking because it shook me.
Yeah.
And that was so hard because I think even if she felt that way, there was a way it could have been delivered
Right.
in a better way, but it was coming at me like darts, one right after another, just constant. And then years later, when I finished school, I later learned that she really wanted to go back to school
And couldn't.
and could not go. And so that was a hard time and, something to witness from a very close friend. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been there too. I actually had to take pause from someone I love because her support came in with a lot of side eyes. So
Mm-hmm.
recently spoke to someone and said, well, I can't meet on Thursday because I have a meeting. And quickly the response was, what meeting? I said, well, that's our standing
Mm-hmm.
earrings off
Mm-hmm.
meeting night, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're still doing that? You
Ah,
ladies, you have a lot of tenacity. That was
really?
the response.
Teresa, that was the response.
It was
Teresa, why didn't
tough.
you tell me
It
that before this episode so we could go by and drive by at night and egg their house or something,
I
toilet
know,
paper,
right?
something? What?
It was tough,
Yeah.
but
I've heard that too. I've heard that too, though. I've heard
I
that kind
I
of reaction. Like,
it
you're still doing that?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough, but I got to protect my peace, child, and keep it moving. I just
Yeah.
got to keep it moving.
Well, yeah, yeah. You were smart to do that. But I have to tell you, I'm not immune from feeling jealous myself. And Teresa, I'm gonna share my story and give you a minute to think about have you ever felt that? But I have a friend, a close friend, who has who has done amazingly well financially. I mean, we have done well, but when I use that word, it's been amazing for her financially in her career. And I mean, I'm talking about to the point where she can buy whole properties in cash, whole cars, very expensive cars, very expensive, and pay cash for them. And so when all of this started happening, I was wondering, how did Gail handle Oprah's success? Like when you know this person and they're blowing up right before your eyes. And so at when it first started happening, I was thrilled for her, but I was like, well, my goodness, you know? And why didn't I think about doing this with my career? Or why didn't I do better? And so I did. I felt some type of way about it. I'm gonna be honest. But I
Well,
honestly felt thrilled for her, but it did make me question, like, oh my goodness, it made me feel like such a slacker because she was doing so well. But she's not the type of friend to flaunt it or any of that. It was never anything about her making me feel less than, but it was just very obvious that her lifestyle had changed. I mean, it had gone up maybe 10 levels right before my eyes. So yeah, I had to get that in check, talk to myself and make sure I understood her success had nothing to do with me, that her choices were her choices and mine are my choices. And you celebrate that. So yeah. But so Teresa, what about have you ever gone through that?
Lou, I don't see that as jealousy, honestly.
Oh no, being honest, I just tried to use my language to make it sound better than it was. Trust me, it was jealousy. I fixed it up for the program. It was jealousy.
Oh my goodness. So I can't say that I felt jealousy in a situation such as that one,
Okay.
right? I
Uh,
have no problem celebrating girlfriends.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
no problem uh celebrating strangers. If somebody
Yeah.
has a big win,
Yeah.
that I don't feel jealous. I might covet a bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But I
Yeah.
don't feel jealous. I'm like, you go, girl. That's your good fortune.
Yeah.
But because I feel the same way you ended, right?
Yeah.
Your decisions are yours,
Yeah.
theirs are theirs,
Yeah.
and what can you do about it, right? So
Yeah.
being jealous only brings you down, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can't say I can't say that um I can't say that I feel jealous.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when I am scrolling on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
And the people, the kind of things that I follow are, of course, health and wellness.
Yeah.
I follow
Yeah.
health and wellness. I follow women and men who post about their travels,
Yeah.
travel content creators. I follow them. And I follow women and mostly women who have started their own businesses. That's
Okay.
the kind of content that
Yeah.
I see. And sometimes when I see these nomads, people who have given up their citizenship
Oh,
to
yeah.
go to
Yeah.
different countries to live,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just wish that I had known that sooner in my
Yeah.
life, because
Yeah.
right now that would be kind of hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
impossible,
Right.
but I would have to leave everything and everybody behind because I don't see anybody following me there. You know,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
I wish I had known about those things sooner. That's the only time I feel a little something something when
Yeah.
I'm
Really,
on
Teresa? Well,
Instagram.
you are, I'm gonna tell you, you need a halo over your head. That's pretty good. No, I was in full out jealousy mode, particularly when we got in the car, which was about 200,000 that she'd pay cash for it. It had all the bells and whistles, and all my car was doing was driving down the road. I was like, oh my
Oh,
goodness, this
Lou,
car
let me
is
tell
doing
you
everything.
something.
In the
Let me
world.
tell you something. You drive a fantastic car and you don't touch nearly any of the dials in it because I know, because I've ridden with you. And when I get in there, I'm
Okay,
like,
okay, okay, okay. See, you
you
know
don't, that
what?
stuff don't
I'm
matter to
not
you.
on here for you to tell people I don't know how to operate my car. That
No,
is
not that you
not, and
don't,
that's family
not
business.
that you don't operate it, know how to operate it. You choose not
I
to.
choose not. Listen, I'm trying to tell you about my friend with the fancy car, $200,000 car that she put down $200,000 on after she already just bought a brand new condo just as an investment for about 500,000, paid cash for that. I'm just sitting there, and of course, when we go out to lunch, I'm looking at her like I know good and well you don't expect me to pay anything. I already know you treat me anytime we're together. I'm not bringing out anything. Understand that. So,
Ooh, again, I don't see that as jealousy.
Teresa, and I told you I fixed up the language for the show, and you know I can do that. Folks,
Okay,
I
okay,
admit,
we digress. Let's keep it
I
moving.
confess on this episode, it was straight out jealousy. I don't care how my
So
words
were
try
you
to make
mean
it
to
sound.
her? Were you
No,
mean? Did you
no,
give
I
her
would never.
backhanded comments?
Oh, no, no, no.
Did you
I
give her
praise her
passive aggressive
because
comments?
no, I was
Well,
so
you weren't
proud of
jealous,
her.
sis.
And I'm still so proud of her.
Oh, yes,
I might try
exactly.
to get a loan from her every now and then, but other than that, that's a whole nother thing.
You're
That's
not
a,
jealous.
that's a whole
Let's
nother
keep
thing.
it
No,
moving.
I'm proud. I'm proud of her. But now I'm gonna tell you. Jealousy, we got to talk about how jealousy really, Teresa, can affect relationships because, like I said, I do recognize that it was jealousy, but I loved her and I honestly was so proud of her. I don't think she even noticed at all. I felt any kind of way about it. But
She will if
jealousy,
she hears this episode.
yeah, and she knows she's the only one of my friends with money like that. The ones that I know anyway. Some may have that, but she's the only one that's been confirmed that. But jealousy, if left unchecked, can be a silent killer of friendships and work relationships. It creates mistrust and competition where there should be support.
Exactly. It brings on comparison, resentment, and worst of all, it stifles your growth, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's a jealous coworker trying to undermine you or a friend who starts acting shady, the shift is real. The energy
Teresa,
shift is real.
it's so true. That's so true. And I'm gonna tell you this next point. It can be so painful because sometimes it's coming from the people closest to you, the people you least expect to experience that from. It's coming from family. And that's
Right.
the hardest thing to navigate because there's love, history, and sometimes even obligation. And but even then, boundaries are sacred, but it's particularly it's particularly painful when it comes from somebody that's really close to you. It just jars you. when
Right.
that's where it's coming from.
Just like the example I used earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very painful.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about some strategies to handle jealousy.
Yeah.
So, how do we deal?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because we're not here to let jealousy throw us off our game.
That's right. We gotta, even when we're faced with jealousy, we have to be intentional about staying focused on our purpose. Jealousy usually means you're doing something worth noticing. That's what it means. Somebody's paying attention. So you know what you do? You keep going.
That's right. And that's exactly how I responded earlier with that situation that I was in.
Yeah.
I just didn't respond. But the proper thing, if you have to, if you must, you respond with wisdom, not emotion. So don't go off. Don't be so
Yeah.
quick to clap back because
Yeah.
sometimes silence is the classiest mic drop.
Yeah. So true. So true. And don't dim your light, period. Don't dim it. Don't you stop doing what you're doing. Don't stop advancing because people are uncomfortable with your shine. Your shining doesn't mean somebody else can't shine. There's room for all of us. And that's what I thought about years later with my friend and me going to school. And, when we had that conversation and I was in the kitchen and cooking. I thought years later when she and I talked about it and she was so bothered because she couldn't go, that had nothing to do with me. I'm thankful that I had other people who were in my ear saying, Lou, you can do this. No, you go. Don't let it stop you. Do not dim your light.
Right. Another thing, limit your vulnerability.
Mhm.
Not everyone who listens needs to hear your whole vision. My grandma used to
Mm.
say, "Don't let people know what street your parade is on so they can't rain on it."
I love it. I
You know,
love it.
some
Teresa,
folks
say that again.
so
Don't let people know what
what
street.
street your parade is on so they can't rain on it. Right. Don't
Oh,
let
wow.
people know what street your parade is on so that
Mm.
they can't rain on it, right?
Wow.
So some folks only show up to poke holes in your dreams.
Isn't that something?
That is something
And that's their whole agenda. Their
because they're
purpose
miserable.
is to poke holes in your dreams. That's what they're living for. But you know what, Teresa? We can't overlook the fact that sometimes we have to listen to our gut. There's something that's telling us about the situation, this interaction, this person. So use discernment. Watch actions more than words. What are they doing versus don't just be swayed by what's coming out of their mouths. How are they acting? If someone consistently, remember we talked about it not being a one-time incident, but it's a pattern. If someone consistently drains your energy, it's okay to love them from afar, to not have them so close to you, to interact with you, because you don't need that toxicity in your space.
That's right. You've got to guard your heart. You got to protect your peace like it's your firstborn.
Hmm.
Emotional fatigue is absolutely real.
So true. And don't act or react in ways which changes your character. Continue to walk in integrity. Don't let them change who you are so that you don't recognize yourself or you're disappointed in yourself or others see um, something that causes them to question your character. Your character is your loudest defense. It's your loudest defense. People can try to shade you, but truth always wins.
That's right. And the last strategy that we'll share to handle jealousy is pray.
Hmm.
meditate, journal, do whatever it takes to keep you grounded. Jealousy has a spiritual weight. Recenter yourself often.
All good stuff. And Teresa and I want to make sure that you know we listened to an episode from Dr. Miles Monroe on YouTube who talks about jealousy. This got us off on this bent concerning this topic. If someone is acting funny, trust the vibes. You're not crazy, you're discerning.
And if you ever feel jealousy creeping in, use that as data. What are you longing for?
Mm-hmm.
What needs healing in your life?
Yeah, and Teresa, that's what I had to do with my friend because I had to sit in that for a minute and figure out what was going on with me. Dr. Miles Monroe again said it best, protect your purpose. That includes protecting your energy from anything or anyone trying to dim your brilliance.
Lou, let me tell you something. This one has been heavy and it's personal, right?
Yeah.
We hope it gave you, the listener, clarity, courage, and maybe something to think about.
You know what? We always say we would love to hear your thoughts, and we particularly like to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Have you ever had to deal with jealousy in your circle? Slide into our DMs, drop us a comment on Instagram, Facebook, and just let us know your thoughts on today's episode on jealousy.
Until next time, stay powerful, stay glowing, and never ever apologize for shining too bright.
Amen. Thanks for joining us. Take good care.